Pastoralism the country. On behalf of ITRC, I would like to acknowledge and pay my respect to the traditional custodians of the lands and waters upon which we are situated and located. I would like to also acknowledge their elders past, present, and emerging, and recognize their continuing connections and responsibility to country. Um, I'm very happy to invite Associate Professor Indra, who is currently working with the Kathmandu University in the Department of Education, and he is here with us to share about his research, his experiences, and knowledge about a crisis of moral ecology. Just to add, one more thing, I was quite fascinated with your presentation in the Associate Professor Indra sir at the conference, where you delivered keynote speech. And since then, I was planning to invite you at our university to share your perspective about indigenous knowledge and perspective about Nepal in Nepal. So I would like to formally welcome you in our seminars. Now,
Thank
up to
you.
it. Now, I pass to you. Thank you.
So, yeah. Then let me just. Oh, can I start? Okay. Now this is just sharing a few ideas. Okay. So I think here. So is it visible now?
Yes.
Ras? So I think. Just a minute. Where is it? It says full slide. Maybe no slide. Okay. This is actually this very this is the ideas actually from a published paper. Okay, so I published a paper in 2024 recently. Okay, but conducted research in a remote area of Nepal, particularly in higher mountain area, okay, where one particular indigenous groups live for centuries, Magar indigenous community, okay. So, so this is about kind of exclusion, how other indigenous groups have been excluded through conservation regime, okay, particularly one of the conservation area, okay, that's a protected area, let's say, okay, which is Dhorpatan Hunting Reserve, which is there, and that is in the ancestral territory of Magar indigenous group, okay. So a little bit from a critical lens, okay, that is political ecology lens I used to examine how moral ecology of Magar indigenous communities have been misrecognized in protected area management. Okay, so let me just share some ideas. Okay, I think we have 1 hour time. Yeah, yeah, Dr. Raj.
Yes, you can do your presentation up to 40 minutes, and then we can have a question and answer.
Sure, sure, sure. Okay. So I'm actually Indra Manirai, okay, Yampu also. Sometimes I'm called Yampu, Indra Yampu also, okay. So working at Kathmandu University School of Education, particularly in Department Education, Department of Development Education, okay. So you see, the studies that appear, most studies that appear in the terrain of this pastoralism and the livelihoods of indigenous peoples. Okay, little the studies actually show the contestation between the livelihoods of pastoral peoples and conservation regime. And also there are several other studies which focus on vulnerability of agro-pastoralism created by different factors such as these conservation areas and other climate change effects and other external factors. Okay, maybe migration and other uh, modernization and other issues. Okay, so the conservation management policies have also been shifted towards participatory approach, okay, from fortress conservation model that is more of protected area approach to participatory approach, okay, thereby introducing the concept of buffer zone. Okay, so it's the purpose is to participate local communities and indigenous peoples in the management of conservation of biodiversity and natural resources. Okay, so but there are several studies that show actually these buffer zone concepts have again reinforce this protectionist approach of conservation and perpetuated exclusion of indigenous peoples. And in many cases, okay, in the globe, there are massive human rights violation of indigenous peoples. They are evicted from their lands, even rapes and killings. We can read. Okay, so in Nepal also there are several such cases that are there. Okay, so also devaluation of indigenous knowledge system, self governance, and the self-determination of indigenous peoples, though there are limited, okay, research on this, how conservation regime has misrecognized the moral ecologies as the source of sustainable resource management. Okay, so literatures actually have paid least attention on such dimension. Okay, so you see, how do we conceptualize these moral ecologies? Okay, so moral ecologies as the homegrown, okay, environmental ethics, okay, that local people and local communities, they have particular understanding on how to interact with the nature and ecosystem. So it's moral rules, okay, resulted through harmonious interaction and closer relationship that indigenous peoples build with the nature, and vernacular, more of informal, unwritten kind of ways of management of commons, and also this sacred practices, or we can say spirituality, constitute actually the moral ecologies, okay, which are deeply connected to the nature. And so these moral ecologies deeply ingrained in indigenous practices, okay, of managing biodiversity and ecosystem, are actually disregarded and sometimes criminalized by these conservation regimes. Okay, so it is more of colonial um, approach of protecting the biodiversity. Okay, through separating human intervention. Okay, so so here in this paper, I actually examine how moral ecologies of Magar indigenous groups, okay, um, of moral ecologies of managing these agro-pastoral practices, okay? So how do actually Magars as indigenous groups manage the rangelands, agro-pastoral practices based on their moral ecologies, and how these moral ecologies are in crisis because of this Dhorpatan Hunting Reserve. That is only the reserve established in 1983 around, okay? So here the argument is that current these conservation policies and practice actually fail to recognize and respect such moral indigenous moral ecologies. Okay, so that is I have tried to analyze and examine from the perspective of political ecology. Okay, so you see, this is there are several narratives of political ecologies. It's very multifaceted kind of idea. Okay, so but one particular one or two dimensions, okay, facets, components of this political ecology are used as analytic frame. Okay, so there is one particular idea under political ecology is how the power is exercised to control the resources of indigenous peoples. Okay, so how socio-political systems in indigenous communities are inactivated uh, in influence of certain elite groups. Okay, so actually the sustainable livelihoods of indigenous peoples are making unsustainable because of this modern ecological management. Okay, so there is always the kind of continuous conflict. Okay, there are conflicts between local communities and indigenous peoples and conservation regime, and this modern ecological management practices have changed this sustainable resource management into unsustainable. Okay, these are actually the key ideas of political ecology narrative. One facet of what is political ecology narrative. So you see in Nepal, there are 100 recent data, okay, 142 caste and ethnic groups, and they speak 131 languages, and 59 groups are recognized as indigenous nationalities, and they occupy about 37% of population of the country. Okay, so if you see the geographical feature of Nepal, and then this northern part is Himalayan region, okay, how high mountain region, and middle part upper hill and middle hill region, and the southern part you see the plain region, okay, Tarai region. So in the upper hill region, several indigenous groups live, okay, for centuries. So, for example, Magar, which is the largest group, okay, and Sherpa, Gurung, Thakali, and there are several other groups, okay, in smaller number, and in the middle hill part, Tamang, Newar, Limbu, Rai, okay, and other in Tarai region there are several groups, okay, Tharu, Bote, Maji. So it's very difficult to trace the specific territory, ancestral lands of different indigenous groups. Rather, uh, there are tentative kind of their locations, okay, their territories, okay, which are actually not recognized this uh, modern administrative divisions, okay. So these are areas. Now you see the protected areas in Nepal, 20 protected areas that cover about 23.4%, 23% around land areas of Nepal, and 36 buffer zones, and many, about 9 protected areas have no buffer zones declared yet. Okay. So you see the national park in green color. Okay, 4 national parks in Himalayan region and 2 national parks in lowland regions, Tarai regions. Wildlife reserve, 1 wildlife reserve in Tarai region. Hunting reserve, which is 1 hunting reserve. Okay, there is only 1 hunting reserve uh, declared. Okay, that is this hunting reserve, which is Dhorpatan Hunting Reserve, which is in high hill, okay, region. So conservation areas and others, okay. So you see, that is Dhorpatan Hunting Reserve. That is the study area, okay, for this paper. So you see, if we see the history, okay, it's long history of conservation in Nepal, okay, but you see, the state has this ratified different international human rights, okay, so UNDRIP, ILO Convention, and but the state policies do not adequately recognize and respect the provisions of international human rights of indigenous peoples. Okay, so this right-based conservation has not actually been materialized in real-world situation. So several documents, reports, and books, papers, okay, actually report this phenomena. Okay, so protected areas and buffer zones operated by this National Parks and Wildlife Conservation Act. Okay, and a little bit changes, positive changes in the livelihoods of local people, and also conservation practices appear. But you see, these national legislations actually do not provide adequate space for the inclusion, okay, meaningful participation of indigenous peoples in making plans and programs. So you see, uh, different literature actually report that uh, the decline of customary laws and practices, ownership of lands and resources, indigenous knowledge, misrecognition of these traditional institutions for governing pastoral systems, okay, agro-pastoral practices, particularly in higher altitude regions, okay. So you see, Dhorpatan Hunting Reserve, okay, this is the map of Dhorpatan Hunting Reserve. Here is, if you see in this red mark, okay, here, this part, there are a few villages, okay, small villages, okay. So homogeneously settled by Magar indigenous groups, okay. Taka, Shera, Bachigao, and small villages, okay. So I conducted a study there in 2021, okay, living several months there, and I came back to Kathmandu and went back to Takshira. Okay, so uh, Dhorpatan Hunting Reserve that was established in 1983 as the only hunting reserve, okay, to promote this sport hunting, particularly blue sheep and Himalayan tahr, and also preserve biodiversity. Okay, 1,325 square kilometer area, okay, square kilometer area, this hunting reserve occupy, okay, and also different districts, okay. It covers 60% of Rukum, 26% of Baglung, and 14% of Magdi districts, okay. So this whole area is in ancestral land of Magar indigenous group. Okay, so traditionally these regions actually called this Athara Magarat. Okay, so 18 Magarat and 12 Magarat, 18 Magarat and 12 Magarat areas. Okay, so different territories of Magar. So you see, Bachigao, this is these two are neighboring villages, okay, Taka village and Bachigao, two villages, okay. I conducted research here, okay. So, used a little bit, yeah, of course, decolonial method. We all are aware on this, okay. So yeah, spontaneously I engage with Magar activists, okay, herders, and also visited different pasture lands, okay, and also observe these herding practices, residential areas, sacred sites, and also observe these plant species, cultural artifacts, maintain field notes, recording photos. Okay. Also, I talked with the representatives of Dhorpatan Hunting Reserve, and also data were transcribed, okay, categorized and generated themes to analyze, and largely the data described, analyzed from this political ecological perspective. Now, what I understood there in the field after several months of living, okay, interacting with Magar people, uh, this is actually a part of larger volume of data, okay. So, uh, so I understood the spirituality, how spirituality and spiritual practices of Magar community, okay, actually embodied the moral ecologies, okay. So actually they have one sacred site, okay, nearby their village, okay. So it is known as Savapo, sacred site, okay. So they gather, okay, there once in a year, okay. So on 15 June, and it is called this Bhumya Puja, okay, Bal Puja. That is actually worshipping of land. And then a shrine is made there on a big rectangular flat stone. They put a big braid made of this wheat flour, okay, and several markings they make there, okay, markings of plants and animals on the braid, okay. So that means and also they sacrifice one sheep, okay. A sheep is actually separated from a flock, okay, and then that is sacrificed there, and they collectively cook food and meat and collectively eat there. And you see, the shaman actually worship the land, particularly rangelands and pastoral lands, and also they worship the plants and other animals. Okay, so they revere, they respect the lands and other all beings in their natural surrounding. Okay, so And then they ask this good health of people, peace in the community, and good crops and good animal herds. Okay, so they worship the spirits of ancestors. Okay, so and generally they say this bhumya puja. Okay, and also they engage in spiritual healing. Okay, those who want to get spiritual healing from shaman, and shaman actually heals to those members. Okay, and so what I understood from these phenomenon, from these practices, spiritual practices of Magar, and they actually promote sacred values of lands and nature. Okay, and all beings, not just the non-living elements there, but also living elements. Okay, the plants and animals. So this is actually the offering and acts of reverence for nature and rangelands. Okay, so uh, they have spiritual ties that constitute moral ecologies of coexistence of all beings in a whole. Okay, so uh, the moral ecologies, the beliefs attached to the nature and spiritual beings, spirits of animals and birds and other plants. Okay, so coexistence, harmony, and then they have a belief of maintaining this balance among flora and fauna. Okay, so they have profound respect, deep regard, and veneration for all beings there. So such moral ecologies actually fosters a strong sense of responsibility and accountability to safeguard and conserve biodiversity. So you see, I think what is the time? Okay, that's all. So, uh, moral ecology, that is also attributed to their relationship, okay, and interaction with the lands, okay. So they have saying, okay, they have believed that they came to these villages, okay, Bachigaon and Taka villages from a particular mountain lab, okay. So Dolpa district, neighboring district, okay, and they in the ancient period they moved towards um, uh, towards these villages, okay, through crossing this small river which is called Rustam River, okay, and one clan group actually they started their living there. They started to live in a village, okay, which is Taka, and then another clan group, okay, started to live in Bachigaon. Okay, so Buddha Magar lived in Bachigaon. So then they have saying, okay, our ancestral land is from habitat of local forest to fish. Habitats of local forest are the lands of Gharti Magar, a clan group, and habitats of fish are the lands of Buddha Magar, another clan group. Okay, so they have saying forest is our store, cave is home, grave is permanent house, and then they I repeatedly listen their sense of togetherness and sense of attachment to the lands. Okay, so you see our village, our herds, our forest, our river. Okay, so our village, you see the sense of ownership of lands, and also their traditional ancestral practices. Okay, this shows their interdependence and belongingness as their moral ecologies. Okay, So how do they sense the land, okay, and their traditional practices? And you see, what I understood there, this agro-pastoralism is the mainstay of their living. Still, most of they are engaging in agro-pastoralism, okay, but the number of livestock are decreasing, and many of the households, they have already left this agro-pastoralism, okay, they have been migrated other places. So their traditional agro-pastoralism was their mainstay of living, and they moved the hordes of animals from mid-March to, I think, October, okay, and they moved down towards the low valleys, okay, in October. And so there are several. These are actually in the map, okay. These are few major pasture lands, okay. Sundaha, Shing, and then you see Dogadi, Gustang, Barshi, Phaguni. These are major, but there are several other smaller pasture lands. Okay, for example, you see few examples: Bhadia, okay, Bandabir, Keppa, Kharka. So several names. Okay, hundreds of names, hundreds of pasture lands they want. Okay, in the past. So those pasture lands are all occupied by these Dhorpatan hunting reserves. Okay, so these pasture lands are in the name of their language. Okay, the toponyms of pasture lands epitomize the first settlement of those Magar ancestors. Okay, so yeah, of course we can say so. So because all the names of rivers, everything, okay, in their language. So you see, Kham, their language is Kham. So you see, in the same on the same day, okay, of this Bhumya Puja, what I already talked, okay, 15 June. So on the same day, one village assembly, okay, is organized, okay, once in a year. So which is known as Kachari, village assembly. So the eldest person, okay, of the community who sits in a place, and other community members, household members sit in descending order of their age. Okay, so and form a kind rectangular shape. Okay, and they discuss. Okay, they discuss about they discuss and engage in consensual and collective decision making process. Okay, particularly one dimension of one aspect they discuss there about management of agro-pastoralism. Okay, of course, other issues also, other social issues also they discuss there, but one important dimension is the management of agro-pastoralism. So they actually decide there, okay, where to move the hordes of animals, which pasture lands are used in this year, and which pasture lands are left for the next year. Okay, and which pasture lands are used for smaller animals like sheep, goats, and which pasture lands are used for bigger animals like buffalo, cows, and other mules. Okay, so these pastoral lands are divided there. Okay, and several codes of conducts are decided. Okay, and when to move hordes of animals up towards higher altitudes, okay? And when the alpine forests and grasses actually these are available there, okay? And then at that time they move upward, the herds of animals, and when to bring down, move down those herds of animals, they all decide, okay, and where to collect, from where to collect fodder and other resources, okay. Maybe they need to make herds, okay, goat, okay, in Nepali, but small huts to live hoarders, okay. So where to collect these resources, okay, um, firewoods and other resources. So all they decide there, okay. Also, very important idea is here. They they appoint one leader of hoarders, okay, and which is known as Gwala Mukhia. Gwala Mukhia is the leader of Gwalas. That means uh, Gwala is the leader of herders. Okay. And herder has the role of supervision and monitoring of all Gwalas. Okay. Gwalas are, you can say, uh, herders. Okay. They may violate the rules. Okay. They may violate the decisions what the Kachari made, and then Gwalamukhia actually monitors and supervise all other Gwalas, okay, orders. And if one violates the rule, and then Gwala reports there in the Kachari, and he's fined, okay. So fine was 500 Nepali, 500 rupees when I studied there, okay, at that time, okay, in 2020. So you see, one appointment, and another, the Kachari actually appoint Katwal, okay. So Katwal is another person who disseminates the information, okay. So in the village, okay. So he actually disseminates the decisions made by Kachari, and also he reminds to the villagers when to move hordes of animals and when to bring down the animals. And Katwal actually informs other social activities, social ceremonies and rituals. Okay, uh, yeah. So these two persons are very important to manage this agro-pastoralism. Okay. So certain norms, values, rules, okay, are actually formed. These are actually upheld. Okay. So such rules are actually uh, a kind of moral ecologists, let's say, okay, moral ecologists that have been passed down from generation to generation. They just upheld such moral ecologies, okay. So, and these actually these rules, okay, let's say moral ecologies help to manage pastoral land sustainably, okay, also preserve this biodiversity. So you see, one in several talkings, okay, informal talkings and discussion, seasonal movement to protect from climatic differences and giving chance to grow grassy shrubs and herbs to livestock, and the hordes are moved place to place for making the rangelands fertile to grow heterogeneous species of grasses. The wild animals are also dependent on the varieties of grasses in the destiny of herd. So you see, the moral ecology of coexistence of humans, domestic animals, and wild animals and plant species. Okay, so kind of rotational movement of animals, okay, actually provide chance to grow heterogeneous plants, and also uh, this rotational movement of domestic livestock, domestic animals supports to make the soil fertile, okay, and also the grasses are important, okay, for wild animals also, okay. Wild animals also, they survive based on such rotational movements. So you see how sustainable practices are this rotational movement, okay, hoarding practices, agro-pastoralism of Magar. So you see, now the Dhorpatan Hunting Reserve, okay, the conservation policies actually misrecognize such de facto kind of agro-pastoralism, agro-pastoral practices, rotational indigenous practices, okay, and there is actually the hoarders and the conservation authorities have made agreement of paying fees, okay, so they collect a small amount of fees, and also uh, one particular effect we can see there is dismantling of this hoarding structure, okay. So traditionally they moved up the horse, okay, in higher altitudes in mid March to mid October, but that is restricted, okay, to mid May to the end of August. Okay, that means the time period of grazing animals in the higher altitudes, booky lands. Okay, so is minimized. Okay, has been minimized. Okay, shrinked, and then then the hordes of animals, number of animals in the hordes of families, okay, more families have been reduced significantly, okay, due to restriction of using resources, okay. So if they collect firewood, grass, okay, and wood for making huts, okay. So actually, Dhorpatan Hunting Reserve restrict on such activities, okay. So what I understood, this conservation regime has curtailed the autonomy and self-determination of Magar people. Okay, so state has controlled their lands, and there are several policies. Okay, multiple policies which have actually uh, weakened their uh, intrinsic relationship with the nature, and then weaken such moral ecologies of agro-pastoralism. Okay, so uh, with the decline of these hoarding practices, their moral ecologies on agro-pastoralism is in crisis actually. Okay, so of course there is resistance. Okay, so Magar activists have been raising their voices, okay, from the perspective of human rights for several years, okay, for decades, okay. But there is, I sense that there is actually no change, no any positive response from the state, okay. So in conclusion, what I say, okay, so moral ecology not only maintains this symbiotic relationship between humans and non-humans, but also fosters the coexistence of domestic animals and uh, these wild animals, even plant species. Okay, so agropastoralism and attached moral ecologies, promoted kind of sustainable resource management. Okay, so Mogars actually have a strong sense of ownership, belongingness, and dependency on their pastoral lands, rangelands. Okay, and hence they have sense of responsibility. Okay, so such sense of responsibilities, they construct based on their spiritual beliefs and practices, actually um, promote this harmonious socio-ecological relationship. But you see, state-led conservation actually has less recognized this moral ecologies, how moral ecologies are important to uh, sustainably manage the resources. Okay, so there is actually crisis created by so conservation regime. Okay, so it's important to recognize indigenous people's self-governance through their traditional institution like kachari. Okay, and that helps to promote this their self-determination in managing rangeland and agro-pastoralism. Okay, so yeah, that actually contributes to right-based conservation. Okay, for sustainable management of protected areas. That's my final thought. Thank you very much. Let me stop here. This was from my side. You can actually read the paper which has already been published, just to share what is out there. Okay, I presented a little bit out of that paper as well. So
Uh,
thank you very much, Raj sir. And no, yeah.
Thank you, Indra sir. Really appreciate, your perspectives and moral ecology. Actually, I have to acknowledge, even I come from Nepal. I was completely unaware of so many different insights and perspectives that you have presented today. And it has helped me to learn about my own context, about my own place, about moral ecology. So if there is any question or anything that you would like to share with Indra sir, please, floor is open for you.